If you completely ignore one of your components, so today's topic was about retirement. So if you choose to ignore your retirement or not put enough in retirement to retire because you're paying off all that debt and you're trying to operate your cash flows today, and you need to send your kids to school, and your parents, blah, 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 and all these things are happening, but you ignore your own retirement, at one point, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. Hey, everybody, what's going on? You cannot borrow money to retire. Duh, right? We're going to talk about this today because I want us to reframe how we're looking at where we're putting our monies into our buckets for short-term, midterm, or long-term planning, okay? So don't forget to hit that subscribe, like, and notification bell because I am here to help you get to a life that you absolutely love by reframing your approach in how you do your financials, okay? Financial investments, they've become commoditized, whether you're talking investment products or insurance products, and there's lots of salespeople out there that'll be like, oh, this is better than this, and this has lower expenses than this, and blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of chatter, a lot of chit-chatter, right? But what I find interesting, when we take this approach with our financials, we forget. It's not that we forget. Let me correct that. We choose whatever the hot button is right in front of our face, right? Right in front of our face. So your hot button, what's your hot button? So can you guys share with me below, what's your financial hot button? I want to know what your guys' hot buttons are, right? So the most common hot buttons that I see is you have your financial hot button of, it could be too much debt or not enough income coming in to support the lifestyle you decide to live. Or the next hot button is, well, I need to buy that house. The hot button might be, I'm having my first baby. The hot button might be, oh man, my parents are aging and there's a long-term care issue. Or what am I going to do? Because my parents didn't save enough money, and how I want to help them with their care as they decline in life, right? There's retirement. There's like, oh, the next hot button is, oh my God, those kids are going to college, and how do I do that, right? So think of your financial hot buttons as your life stages or life events, right? So it's whatever your new hot button is. I want you to come to a place. So today I wanted to really zone in on, that you can't borrow money to retire. I have so many parents out there, and I'm going to use this as an example, that sit there and say, well, I have to plan for the kids' college, and then after the kids' college, after I check that box on the list, then I'm going to get to the other list. I want you to consider something. You have a lot of boxes. Is it fair to say that those of you who have put your hot buttons below there when you write them in, because sometimes just putting the hot buttons on there, it helps you release it to the universe, right? Turn it over to have faith and trust in the universe, God, or whatever your deity is. Turn it over, there's your hot buttons. But you have all these boxes to check. And it's what weighs on your mind, right? It's like this load that is just like, oh my God, how much more of this can I do, right? Like, this is what's happening to every single one of us at times. So when we have these hot buttons, it's like a hot potato. Did you ever play that game Hot Potato when you're a kid? It's like, you don't want to be holding the potato. I don't even know why they called it hot, because the potato was never hot, but if you acted like it was hot, right? And that's a really great analogy. We act like these life events, like kids going to college or buying my first house or having my first baby, that it's like, that's hot. I got to do something about it. Right? It's that thing that you're like, Well, here's the thing. We don't need to have that hyper reactivity to whatever appears to be that hot button. So You know how when you're on an airplane and they say, put your oxygen mask on first and then the oxygen mask for your children or other people around you? It's because you're no good to anybody if you don't save your life first, right? The challenge is that we've been taught in many of our childhoods that doing this self-love and self-care of taking care of yourself first and then everybody else, that there's this shame, blame, guilt, and judgment. And I cover that in spades in my first book, The Emotion Behind Money. If you completely ignore one of your components, so today's topic was about retirement. So if you choose to ignore your retirement or not put enough in retirement to retire because you're paying off all that debt and you're trying to operate your cash flows today, and you need to send your kids to school, and your parents, blah, 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 and all these things are happening, but you ignore your own retirement, at one point, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. So I want you to consider in your strategy to stay in the brainstorming mode, meaning take a pen and a piece of paper. Actually, do that right now, could you? I want you to take a moment, and I want you to write down, what are all those things that are important to you? So let me give you an example in my world. So I pay alimony. The reason I chose the alimony I have is because I wanted to actually give my ex-husband a launch pad because he stayed home with our kids since they were born. And I knew it was going to take him a bit to get back into the workforce. So that was important to me. That was something that was important to me. So that was a chassis that I chose to provide for. Then there's my own healthcare, meaning not going to the doctor. Maybe it's not healthcare. Maybe it's a wellness care. That's another hot button for me, right? That I'm no good to anybody if my body breaks down. I'm an employer and a mom of 4 kids, and I provide for my ex-husband, and I help my parents out. So guess what? A lot of fiscal responsibilities, which I chose, 100% choose for, but I need to stay healthy along the way. So there's a part of my cash flow that goes to wellness, and that needs to be part of the priorities. Then there's my own retirement one day. I am solely responsible paying for my kids' college, for my kids, I'll call it kids' education, because I'm solely responsible for grammar school, high school, and college. Okay? So what ones of those are on your list? Are you writing these down? I want you to write them down. Because what happens when you take pen to paper and you write down all these things? You're probably going to write a list, and you sit there and you say, how am I going to do all these? Anyone with me? Any of you struggling? And if you are, and you're watching this video, please put a comment below, because I actually respond to the comments. So I want to help you. So if you need some reframing or something, like, happy to help. So hope that was helpful for your planning between your hot buttons and your long-term goals of retirement planning. But I'm Julie Murphy, and I am here to help you to get to a life that you absolutely love. So let's help each other get out of each other's way, and we will see you soon. Hit that subscribe, like, and notification bell, and go to juliemurphy.com, because we got all kinds of fun stuff to share on a regular basis. Thanks. Bye.